In July of 2021, my office announced a $26 billion agreement with the country's three major pharmaceutical distributors. To be clear, we worked collaboratively with attorneys general throughout the country on a bipartisan basis to make sure we were addressing the challenges that were presented to each and every state. And we announced this agreement with the three pharmaceutical distributors, Cardinal, McKesson and AmerisourceBergen, and manufacturer Johnson & Johnson. Today, I'm happy to announce that these agreements are final. We expect these companies to be releasing funds to a national administrator on April 2nd. States and local governments will begin to receive funds during the second quarter of this year. And as we work to finalize the national settlements, my office has also been committed to ensuring that Illinois can, as we have worked to finalize these settlements, we have been committed to ensuring that Illinois can maximize the amount of resources that we receive. To date, more than 290 units of local government in Illinois have joined the settlement. This includes 94 of the state's 102 counties and 104 of 113 municipalities that are eligible to receive direct resources. Last spring, I worked with the General Assembly to pass a law that ensured that the Attorney General's office was given authority to take necessary steps to effectuate a full settlement for the entire state and maximize the resources that Illinois can receive so we could abate this problem. As part of that, we were charged with working with the states with populations of 250,000 above to be able to come to agreement as to allocation of these resources. Because we were able to negotiate such significant support from local governments and obtain the proper statutory settlement authority, I'm happy to announce Illinois will receive its full share of approximately $760 million. Under the Illinois Opioid Allocation Agreement, my office negotiated with Illinois counties with populations of 250,000 or more. Eligible municipalities can receive a direct distribution of funds. Counties that participate will receive additional funds for abatement. The allocation agreement utilizes IDPH's existing 7 public health regions. Resources will go to support services in each one of these regions. An advisory board will ensure that funding is distributed equitably by providing recommendations regarding spending on abatement programs. The advisory board will be established as a subcommittee of the state's Opioid Overdose Prevention and Recovery Steering Committee. The board will offer advisory recommendations for approval by both the steering committee and the Attorney General's office. In making equitable allocation decisions, population will be taken into account, as well as rates of opioid usage, overdose deaths, and the amount of opioids shipped into each region. The opioid epidemic has destroyed countless lives and families throughout our state and devastated communities. And it's imperative that the resources reach these areas and be used to abate the problem. I look forward to continuing to partner with the state's attorneys and other state's attorneys who are not here on a bipartisan basis to bring relief and resources to communities in every part of the state of Illinois. And now I want to pass the mic over to Bob Berlin, DuPage County State's Attorney.
Good morning. First, I want to thank Attorney General Raoul for his leadership and his staff for all of their magnificent work on this case. Today is truly an historic day. In DuPage County and all across Illinois, every community has experienced enormous healthcare costs, treatment costs, rising crime rates, escalated social issues, and increased loss of productivity in the workplace as a result of the opioid epidemic. In DuPage County alone, between 2015 and 2020, we experienced a 120% increase in opioid-related deaths, 51 in 2015 and 112 in 2020. As Attorney General Raoul stated, this epidemic has no boundaries. It has affected every community in the state of Illinois. And it's not just the families of the victims, entire communities have felt the repercussions of the opioid crisis. When we filed our lawsuit, all of us filed our lawsuits back in December of 2017. On that day, I said that the desire to save lives is what brought us together. I stated back then that it was my sincere hope that the lawsuits would not only prevent more deaths, but would begin the healing process and allow DuPage County to recoup a portion of the losses incurred fighting this deadly epidemic. Today, that healing process finally begins. At this point, I want to introduce Kane County State's Attorney Jamie Mosser, who wants to share some comments.
Good morning. I would like to first again start by thanking Attorney General Raoul and his staff for helping bring us to this point of settlement. I would also like to thank the attorneys that have helped us, of Myers and Flowers, P. Flowers and Mike Leonard, who represented the interest of Kane County along with my civil division. There is no greater of a time now that we have seen the damage that the opiates have caused to our community. And in Kane County, we recognized that the majority of the people that come before us do so because of addiction issues, mental health issues, or lack of resources. What we've also found is that we do not have enough money to put into our resources to get the people out of the cycle of addiction that has been caused because of the opiate problem. This settlement will pave the way for Kane County, as well as all of the other communities, to begin to break that cycle and to save lives. In Kane County, and thanks to our Sheriff Ron Hain, we have brought drug addiction treatment into the jail to start to help people heal while they're in custody. We have created prosecutor and law enforcement-led diversion programs to break this cycle and to get the people out of this cycle of addiction. Again, this settlement, thanks to the efforts of the community, to the state's attorneys, and to General Raoul, will bring us closer to making sure that we make our community as safe as possible by recognizing that these individuals were brought into this because of the dangers of the opiate issue. So I thank everyone again for this, and now I would like to turn this over to Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhardt. Thank you.
Thank you, State's Attorney Mosser, State's Attorney Berlin, and of course, Attorney General Raoul. I want to also start by thanking Attorney General Raoul and the men and women of the Attorney General's office who have fought tirelessly for this settlement and for this success today. It is an enormous success, not only for the individuals that have been impacted by this devastating epidemic, but by the communities and the businesses that State's Attorney Berlin referred to, as Attorney General Raoul referred to. And this epidemic has known no geographic boundaries. It has known no socioeconomic boundaries. It has affected every single demographic in this country and in this state. And that's why today is such an amazing success. Lake County lost 115 people in 2021 to the epidemic. Hundreds more were hospitalized. Thousands more have been impacted by it in their daily lives. The success we see today would not have been possible in Lake County without the assistance of our attorneys at Motley and Rice, and without the Civil Division, and without my predecessor, now Judge Nierheim, who filed this lawsuit in 2017, and joining the state's attorneys behind me. And I certainly want to give credit to everyone who had the vision to see that this lawsuit would be successful. We need to dedicate our work now to those who have been most impacted by this epidemic. We need to listen to those and dedicate this to those who have been in the trenches, on the battle lines of this public health crisis. We need to listen to those voices as we begin to move these settlement funds to the abatement of this epidemic, as we begin to move these funds to medically assisted treatment, as we have seen in the Lake County Jail through Sheriff John Eidelberg, through health departments, through community-based organizations that work with those who are suffering from the addiction on a daily basis, and in our courts and in our specialty courts, in our diversion programs. We need now a full-fledged, and as State's Attorney Mosser said, fully funded attack on the epidemic on a local level. And that is only possible because of the leadership and vision of Attorney General Kwame Raoul. So on behalf of the people of Lake County, on behalf of the Lake County Board, and all of the people who will be impacted by Lake County, I want to thank again Attorney General Raoul and all of the state's attorneys and their unbelievable work on this case. I'd like to now turn it over to Winnebago County State's Attorney Jay Hanley.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jay Hanley, Winnebago County State's Attorney. Winnebago County is at the top of our great state. Rockford is our largest city. And we have actually been disproportionately affected by the opioid crisis. In fact, Winnebago County has the highest recorded fatality rate. Sadly, it's 46 deaths per 100,000 residents. And the problem isn't going away. In 2022 already, visits to the ER for opioid-related issues has surpassed all of 2021. And I understand that abatement is the correct legal term. However, I hope that the settlement and specifically the funds can be used to completely and totally reverse these tragic numbers and the tragic realities that the opioid crisis have brought. As a former federal prosecutor, I was a part of criminal enforcement efforts against usually doctors or pharmacists, and that's on a micro level. The value of a settlement like this is it is done at the macro level. And also, just to be frank, it involves a significant amount of money that can go directly to the communities to not just abate, but completely reverse the trends that we've been seeing. Before I leave the podium, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my predecessor. As a newly elected state's attorney in December of 2020, the reality is most of the work had been done for me. And for that, I thank my predecessor, Marilyn Height-Ross, and her first assistant, Dave Karolinkas. I'd also like to thank the private attorneys who helped us, Barron and Budd and the Holland Law Firm. Not only were they skilled litigators, they also were extremely patient in describing and explaining what the litigation meant and walking us through the settlement. But lastly is, I'd like to thank the Attorney General. The reality is Winnebago County does not have the staff or the resources to bring litigation of this magnitude on its own. And so without the leadership and really the dogged efforts of our Attorney General Raoul, this would not have happened. Thank you.
Before I open up for any question, I know that I spent a lot of time talking about the resources, the money that can be invested in saving lives and treating people who are addicted and to supporting the diversion programs. But it's important to note that as part of the settlement, we have also required some, through injunctive relief, some actions from the distributors to make sure that history does not repeat itself, and to make sure that, for instance, that there's a clearinghouse to make sure that not too many opioids are being delivered to a particular pharmacy, to a particular pharmacy that may be a bad acting pharmacy, that they use data-driven systems to detect suspicious opioid orders from customer pharmacies. And so there are a number of injunctive terms that require these distributors to follow so that history does not repeat itself.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.